What's going on, guys? Sports Historian here, back at it again with another video. Today we are doing my 2026 MLB Season Predictions, and let's just get some housekeeping things out of the way. I know I'm not in my room, I'm in the library at my Tempe campus. I procrastinated to make this video, and I didn't really want to not do it because I wanted to have something to come back to later on, but it's kind of like the only time I could really do it right now. So trying to be quiet, but I still hear like a bunch of loud girls down there. Don't tell them I said that. Anyways, thank you for stopping by, and let's get started. So I have the Toronto Blue Jays winning the division for the AL East this year. They just went to the World Series and they lost, but it was a really good series, and they were really close. I think they were like 2 outs away from winning the World Series. Sorry, Toronto. But, I mean, Toronto made some good additions this offseason. They got Max Scherzer, Dylan Cease to a big 7-year contract. They got Jesus Sanchez, Akamoto. They got my boy Eloy, Shane Bieber. They got him back, but they did lose a couple of pieces. They lost Bo Bichette, Seranthony Dominguez, IKF, Chris Bassett, some players essential to that World Series run. But I still think Toronto can be a deadly team in the playoffs. I still think they're better than the Yankees, to be honest. So I have them at 94 wins. But, as we just talked about the New York Yankees, they're still the Yankees. I mean, they're still going to be good. They didn't really make that many big additions that, other teams did, such as Toronto. They did go to Bellinger back, which is huge. They got a couple pitching pieces in Rafael Montero and Ryan Weathers. Decent pitchers. And then Paul DeYoung. I mean, that's like the notables I could really find. They did lose Devin Williams. They did lose Luke Weaver to the Mets, out of all teams. They lost Johnny Lasagna and Mark Leiter Jr. So the Yankees didn't really improve necessarily. They kind of kept it the same, and if anything, they got worse. So that's why I have Toronto over them, because they made some moves to leap themselves over. Third place, surprisingly to maybe some people, I have the Baltimore Orioles. They kind of had a setback season last season because they just fell apart. They were like the Braves. They didn't really perform as well as everyone thought. They won 101 games in 2023, so everyone thought they were going to make it back, but they didn't. But they made a couple of moves that, could boost them back into the playoff contention. They got Pete Alonso, which is huge. They got Chris Bassett. They got Andrew Kittredge from the Cubs. They got Taylor Ward for Grayson Rodriguez from the Angels. They did lose, obviously, Grayson Rodriguez. They did lose Dylan Carlson and Gary Sanchez, but I don't really think those are really big losses compared to some other teams. So I think the Orioles are in a decent spot. They don't have Mullins anymore. He's with Tampa now, but I think the Orioles still are a pretty good team, and I still think they can do well. Do they make the playoffs? I'm not sure, but they could be like maybe 75 to 80 win team, possibly. Now, fourth place, I have the Red Sox, and I know they just made the wild card last season, and I know I was high on them last year. You might remember from my playoff video, and then they got bounced in the first round. But, we moved past that. So they did make some big moves. They got Wilson Contreras. They have Sonny Gray. They got Caleb Durbin from the Brewers. Solid pickups. Pretty good pickups. They did lose Dustin May. They did lose Giolito. They lost Bregman. That's a huge one. And they lost Jordan Hicks. Those are really big players to lose, considering where the Red Sox were at and what they gave up in Rafael Devers to the Giants. Like, out of that trade, there's only one piece left, and he's still in the minors. There's no way to really tell what he's gonna do. So I'm not really as high on the Red Sox as I was last year, but maybe they'll surprise me. I don't know. I don't really care. Okay, I don't care about Boston. And then last place I have Tampa. They did, Tampa's been pretty good for a decent amount of time, but I think they're at a point where they're probably a last place team, but not like as bad as the Rockies or White Sox. Maybe like a low 70 win team, maybe. It's not terrible, but for the AL East, that's just not good enough. They did get Kevin Lux. They got Cedric Mullins. They got Cam Bouger. Not really big moves. They lost Peter Fairbanks to the Marlins. They lost Brandon Lowe to the Pirates. They lost Josh Lowe. I mean, not really big or, additions or downsides. They just kind of stayed the same. So that's just kind of why I have them in last place. So now AL Central time. This is my division, or my division I watch the most. So first place I have the Tigers. They did choke the division lead the last month of the season to the Guardians, but they still won against the Guardians in the playoffs where it mattered. So whatever. They did get Schoolball back, which is, I mean, well, they had signed on arbitration. That was the whole thing. Anyways, they got Framber, they have Verlander back, and they have Kenley Jansen, some interesting pitching pieces. But Valdez, that's a pretty good pickup when he's not trying to hurt the catcher. They did lose Paul Sewald, Tommy Kahnle, and Chris Paddock. I think the main one that they really missed is Tommy Kahnle, but I mean, the Tigers are still going to be really good. They didn't really make huge acquisitions besides Valdez, but they're a solid team, and I still think they're better than the Guardians as of right now. And the second place, I have Cleveland. They never really make big moves, and I understand why. It's a whole big deal. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but they got Rhys Hoskins, they have Carter Kieboom, which they just gave to the Phillies, and then Cody Hoyer, White Sox legend. I'd add him in there. They did lose Big Christmas, though, and they did lose Sam Hedges. I mean, you probably don't even know any of them are besides maybe Big Christmas, but Big Christmas was fun to watch in the playoffs. That's the only notable that, you'll miss it. You lost some aura, but I think they're still going to be pretty decent, so I'll still give them second place. This division's not really that great, so. In third place, I have the Royals. I was considering putting them in second place, but I don't think they're there just yet. I still think the Guardians are still good because they got G-Ram. Wow, I got quiet. Anyways, they did pick up a couple pieces. They got Alex Lang, which is nice, bullpen reliever. Starting Marte, he's like 37 years old. And then they got Lane Thomas. Just kind of whatever moves. They did lose Yastrzemski. They lost MJ Melendez. They lost Michael Lorenzen and Adam Frazier. I think Lorenzen and Melendez are probably going to be the biggest ones. And Yastrzemski, you really didn't do too much for them. I mean, he was okay, but nothing significant. So that's why the Royals are third. I like Bobby Witt, though. And Salvi. Congrats, Venezuela. Anyways, the White Sox, the nitty gritty here. So they made a lot of moves this offseason, more than I thought. They got Sir Anthony Dominguez. They signed him in free agency. They got Luis Angel Acuna for Luis Robert, the last member of the 2021 team. I miss one, but that was the right move. We got Murakami. We won those sweepstakes from Murakami. I'm very surprised that we actually went out and got him. I got Sean Newcomb from the A's, got Jordan Hicks from the Red Sox, Eric Fetty's back, Austin Hayes from Baltimore. I mean, those are pretty solid pickups. I mean, I think we're still years away from contention, but this is, there's some hope here. I'm not mad with these picks. We did lose Mike Tauchman. We lost Corey Julks. Corey Julks was fun. But, as Sebastian says, Mr. Aura, Luis Robert's gone. That one hurts me just from a moral standpoint, but I think it was the right move. I think we had to get rid of him at some point, so not bad. And then last place, the Minnesota Twins, they blew up everything at the deadline. I'm going to keep this very brief. They really didn't make any big additions. Josh Bell, Tyler Rogers, Andrew Cleveland, Liam Hendricks. I think Liam Hendricks actually just got cut, so. They lost Jose Miranda, Christian Vasquez, and Eduardo Julian. Not really a great team right now. Sorry, Twins fans. No, screw you for 2021. All right. So AL West time. All right. I think the Mariners are going to win the division this year over the Astros again. The Mariners just went to the ALCS. They were one game away from going for their first World Series in franchise history. I still think they are going to be pretty good, even though they lost Gino and Jorge Polanco. But they got Dane Dunning, White Sox legend. They got Patrick Wisdom, Cubs legend. Brendan Donovan. I mean, they really didn't make too many big moves to really stay as good as they were last year, but they still are a pretty good team. They still got Cabral. They still got Julio Rodriguez. I mean, I'm not really worried because this Astros team in second place is not really the best team either. Speaking of the Astros, I have them in second place. They got Amaya from the Japanese Baseball League, I believe. Something like that. I have no idea. He's a pretty good pitcher, from what I hear. They got Kevin Biggio. That's Craig Biggio's son. They got Joey Loperfido. I mean, cool. I don't know. I mean, they lost Valdez. They're getting weaker. I mean, they still have Correa, but they still have Altuve, but they're getting older. I don't really have much faith in the Astros. And in third place, my surprise from people, I have the A's. The A's are a decent team. They, for a while they were bad, but they've been picking up little boost players. They still have Nick Kurtz, and they have Lawrence Butler. They still have Severino, who they signed last offseason. They have Aaron Savali now, Jeff McNeil, Mike Leiter Jr. They did lose Sean Newcomb and Jose Leclerc, but to be honest with you, I mean, they're not going to be that great, but considering the AL West is pretty weak, I think they're going to be fine, personally. Fourth place, excuse me, I have the Texas Rangers. Yeah, they kind of sold. They lost Adolis Garcia, they lost Jonah Heim, they lost Marcus Semien, Patrick Corbin, Merrill Kelly. I mean, they lost so many players. But they got Brandon Nimmo for Semien at least. They got Kutch. He's like 38, but hey, nostalgia. And they got Monty back. Like, he wasn't totally a disaster with the D-backs or anything, but yeah, not very high on the Rangers. They got Corey Seager, they got Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford. That's about it. Not really high on them. Sue me. And then last place, I got the Angels. They are not a good team. And I thought the White Sox were bad. They're on another level. I mean, they got Nick Madrigal, White Sox legend. That could help. They have Moncada. They got Trey Mancini. That's kind of cool. They lost Kenley, though. They lost Taylor Ward. The Angels suck. All right, let's just leave it at that. Now let's go to the National League. Starting out in the East. First place, I have the Mets. I heard something. They got Semien, they got Bichette, they got Devin Williams, they got Jorge Polanco, Luke Weaver, Louis Bob, and Freddie Peralta. That's a pretty good offseason. But they did lose Pete Alonso, they did lose Nimmo, they did lose Edwin Diaz. Those are some big moves the Mets are making. I still think they're a pretty good team. They still got Lindor, they still got Juan Soto. I mean, they're a pretty good team. I think they're a little bit better than the Phillies right now, who I have in second place. They really didn't make many additions. They lost Ranger Suarez, which is a big hit to their starting rotation. They lost Nick Castellanos, or they cut him. I kind of get it. They lost Bader. And they got Adolis Garcia and Brad Keller. Like, Adolis is a nice pickup, but besides that, not really much that excites me in Philadelphia right now. In third place, I have the Braves. They got Yastrzemski, they got Robert Suarez, the Padres reliever, and Jonah Heim. But I did lose Marcell Ozuna to the freaking Pirates of all people. And then like 45-year-old Charlie Morton. I think that guy's gonna hang up the cleats, but respect to Charlie Morton, I like him. I don't know, the Braves are just kind of in limbo that they're like a 77 win team, maybe. Fourth place, I got the Marlins. They got Owen Casey from the Cubs for Eduardo Cabrera. It's not Edward Cabrera. I don't know. They're a decent team. They're decent. They're not really. They're just kind of there. They're kind of like the A's for me. The same thing. In my space, I got the Nationals. I mean, they're just not that great right now. They're still rebuilding. They did get rid of Mackenzie Gore and Josh Bell, which is surprising. I thought they would have kept Mackenzie Gore, but whatever. Anyway, the NL Central. First place, I got the Brewers. I always count out the Brewers, and they always surprise me. They always win the division, but they always get shitted on in the playoffs. Just how they work. And they got Gary Sanchez and Nikhil Badu, if you remember him from 2021 with the Tigers. He's a good player. I don't have nothing against him. Sure. They did lose Freddie Peralta, though. They did lose Jose Quintana. They did lose Rhys Hoskins. Those are kind of big hits, especially Freddie Peralta for that rotation. I don't really see them going far, and the Cubs could very well win this division, but I'm going to stick for the Brewers for now. Not the Cubs. They got Alex Bregman. That's a pretty big pickup. They got Michael Conforto. They got Dylan Carlson. They did lose Owen Casey. They lost Kyle Tucker. They lost Drew Pomeranz. They did lose Andrew Cavers. They lost a lot of big relievers, which is kind of why I have the Brewers over them, because the Brewers always just have great pitching. Even the Cubs might have more star power on offense. It just kind of depends. You know, it could go either way. It could be the Cubs or Brewers, but I'm going to stick with the Brewers for right now. The Reds, I have in third place. Not really much going on there. They got Gino back. Nostalgia. But besides that, they're just kind of there for me. I don't think they make the playoffs, personally. And the team that surprised me, the Pittsburgh Pirates, they signed players. That's all that needs to be said. Yeah, Ryan O'Hearn, Gregory Soto, Mike Clevenger, like, they actually signed contracts. For context, before this offseason, the last time they actually gave a multi-year deal to a player was Von Nova in 2016, which makes no sense to me, but get it, girl. I don't know. Good for you, I guess. I don't know. Still fourth place. then in 5th place, a team I'm very disappointed in, the St. Louis Cardinals. You know, the Cardinals are an 11-time world champion. I don't really think they really care, but at the same time, to be in 5th place behind the Pirates, I mean, that's just terrible. They're going to be so bad. They lost Nolan Arenado, they lost Donovan, they lost Wilson Contreras. They got Dustin May and Ryan Stanley and Rowan Urias, but that's not exciting to me. Boo. Thumbs down, St. Louis. You could be better. Now the NL West. I mean, the Dodgers are probably going to win it again. They're probably going to win the World Series again. I'll get there in a minute. They got Kyle Tucker. They got Edwin Diaz. And they got Seby Zavala, White Sox legend. I was there for his 3-home run game in 2021 against the Guardians. I was there. I know, crazy, right? Yeah, but they didn't really need to add much. They have all the good players. They lost Michael Kopech. They did lose Kershaw, like retirement. Anthony Bondo's gone. Michael Conforto's gone. They're good. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine. Padres, yeah, kind of disappointed by them too. They didn't sign back Cease. They didn't sign back Arias. They didn't sign back Suarez. Robert Suarez. They got Nick Castellanos as sloppy seconds for Philadelphia, I guess. Cool. Walker Buehler. Ew. And then Herman Marquez. Like, these are not exciting moves, people. But this division's really not great, so I still think they're going to win or get 2nd place and maybe make the playoffs. Maybe. I don't know. It's a coin flip. 3rd place, I have the San Francisco Giants. They have Luis Arias, Adrian Hauser, Michael Fulmer. They're just kind of a boring team for me. They're like the Braves. They're like a 77-win team, maybe. They lost Verlander. I mean, he's actually decent considering he's 42. Maybe he'll get to 300 wins. I don't know. We'll see. I hope for the guy. I like him. His brother's interesting, but anyways. And the Arizona Diamondbacks. They made some moves. Not big ones, but decent ones. They got Nolan Arenado, which is cool. Past his prime, but cool, I guess. They got Carlos Santana, who's like 45. Okay, like 40. Paul Sewell. I'm sure Diamondbacks love him. Michael Soroka, Merrill Kelly's back. Zach Allen's back as well. He's actually starting for them tomorrow night against Yamamoto. And they did lose Blaze Alexander. They sent him to Baltimore. Gus Farland, Jake McCarthy to the Rockies. A lot of D-backs fans are really distraught by that. I don't really watch them to really know, but apparently down here he's a big deal. Maybe like the version of Larry Garcia for the White Sox. Maybe. I don't know. Cool, I guess. And then in last place, of course, the Rockies. I mean, this shouldn't really be surprising to anybody. And they got Jake McCarthy. They got Jose Quintana, John Brebbia, and Michael Lorenzen, which, for a fun fact, I actually met Michael Lorenzen. I worked at the spring training stadium for the Rockies, and I had to go to the clubhouse to get some wiffle balls because the kids were hitting them over the fence. And I saw him walking out of the locker room, but since it's my job policy, I'm not allowed to talk to him, but, you know, I said hi. That was it. Yeah. So that was my moment in the spotlight. And then they lost Marquez, which honestly was one of their best pitchers in franchise history. And then Kyle Farmer, Warming Burnable, Orlando Arcia. Not really big deals there. But I normally would just make like a World Series prediction, like a whole like playoff bracket and everything. I don't feel like doing that right now. I'm burnt out. College burns people out, and I have been there. And I mean, it's not even gonna matter. The Dodgers are gonna win again, probably. I think they're gonna three-peat, but I will be rooting for the Toronto Blue Jays because I want them to get that ring. I feel bad for their fans. Them or Seattle or the White Sox. Let's be honest, the White Sox are not making the move, or not making the World Series, but I make a dream, right? So thank you for watching this video. I know I've been rambling a lot, and I know I'm probably quiet as usual, or more than usual. But yeah, that's just the best I could do right now. Hopefully next time I make a video, I'll actually have my mic set up, because I was originally going to do that, but I'm having mic issues right now. But yeah, don't judge me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.